Welcome back, NovaSound TV, Sound Spotlight Season 3. I'm very, very excited today to bring you guys one of my personal friends. This gentleman has put me on so much game, enlightened me on business and spirituality, even set up some deals for me. So I'm excited to get y'all these gems. My guy, Kevin Bryant.
What's going on? What's going on? Thanks for having me.
It's been too long, brother.
Thanks for having me. I know, it's been a while.
So it's not too many people that I call brother, right? And I really want to dive in this interview, man, because you got so much game, bro. The first of its kind, you know what I mean? You're an Airbnb expert. You invited me here to the Peacock to put the people on game to how to really push their business forward, no matter the business model. So
right.
I'm excited, bro. Let's start with your backstory, bro. Tell the people where you from, who you are.
Yeah. So this is my guy right here, man. Ever since I met him, I think we just hit it off the bat.
Sure, bro.
Off the bat, from the first conversation, we were just on the same wavelength. So, a little bit about me and how I got started in entrepreneurship as a whole. You gotta go way back, dude.
You gotta go way back.
You gotta go way back, right?
So let them know.
You gotta go way back as far as how I grew up. I'm a son of immigrant parents from Venezuela. They came here in '87. I was in the belly with my mom. I was born in '88 in January, and they really had to figure it out. They had to figure it out. My dad was actually a professional out there. He was a lawyer. He worked as in the campaign for one of the presidents out there in the '70s. So he was actually in the White House out there, the equivalent of the White House. And but he came here and barely knew English. Couldn't use his law degree, so he had to figure it out. So he went into first thing he did was construction. But overall, just looking at his life, right? Because this was an example for me that really, really stuck to me, to my core. Everything was entrepreneurship for him in this country. From construction to, he ended up, doing immigration. He got his paralegal degree. Ended up going back to school for, a certificate program. Became a paralegal, and he was helping people get their immigration papers. So he did that for 20-something years. So he always worked for himself, as far as when I came into the picture and saw that growing up. And he gave me a choice, right? In my teenage years, when I was kind of rebellious, wasn't great in school, and wasn't doing too good in school. All I wanted to do was play baseball. I played baseball for 20 years, played in high school, played in college. That's all I wanted to do. But he always taught me you need to think about your future. And I wasn't thinking about that at that mindset. But he gave me a choice. And once he saw that, once my baseball career was over, right, I went into a phase of myself, a really dark phase. I didn't know what the hell to do in my life. Right?
Which is a place where I know a lot of my audience might be at. So
yeah. I can't curse in this, right? Oh, you can?
We'll clean it up.
Oh, okay.
No curse words.
I just want to make sure. I didn't ask that before, but so really dark place in my life, and he gave me an ultimatum. He said, "Look, man, you got two choices in life. You can go and build a career, right? And do it that way, right? And just work for a company, a solid company, build a career, and you're gonna be stable, and you can, take care of your family that way, or you can start a business." And because he said, I'm not gonna be around forever, right? And so you got to figure it out. So I picked the ladder, right? I picked to start a business, and that put me in a journey. I think that was at 23, 24. Where, for today's standard, for those of you watching at home, you're probably starting way earlier than I did, right?
That's a fact. Kids are starting very young today.
Right. See, I was always in that baseball mindset, and then when my career ended at 23, 24, I decided to retire. I didn't know what the hell to do. So something that if you learn from me, start early, man. Start
early. There's the first gem. You're never too young to get started on your dream, your goal, your business, your calling, your purpose.
Right.
Excellent advice.
Exactly. Like it's never too early, man. It's never too early. My story is I started at 23, 24, and I had to make that decision. And that's really why I was in a dark place too, right? Because it was like a midlife crisis, basically, or a quarter life crisis, right? I was like, what the hell do I do now? Baseball career is done. What do I do? Ended up going into entrepreneurship, and it really took me, even though I had the example from my father, it took me about 10 years to really get my feet under me with entrepreneurship. I obviously met you at a job. We had a 9 to 5. I was working
5 years ago?
Full time. That was probably about 5 years ago. Around 2016, 2015. And man, like I bounced from job to job, but I also bounced from business to business. Like I've done everything from social media management to content creation to I was doing CPR training at one point. I've done AV, right, audiovisual, so many things, and then ended up 10 years later, right? Probably I haven't counted, but it's probably like 10 other business tries during those 10 years. I ended up in Airbnb. So now we've been managing Airbnb for since 2018, and it started as a side hustle, really. And then we started really going at it last year, mid last year, me and my wife. So
it started, your dad, your father really planted that seed, then it grew.
Right.
10 years later, you bounced around, picked up some skills. Would you say that those skills helped you where you are now?
What do you mean, like the skills
from the different jobs, learning production, learning the social media managing, learning the online systems and different marketing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's for sure helped me. I guess another piece of advice for those of you who are getting started, you have to be a life student, right?
That's a fact.
You have to be a life student always in this game, in entrepreneurship. If you want to have your own business, you have to constantly be growing, right? And not only knowledge-wise, but personally, spiritually, physically, and all aspects of your life, you need to be growing. And so if you ask me, the skills that I learned during those 10 years from different jobs, different businesses, and all that stuff, all that still applies to me today.
You said something that stuck out to me, a life student. So the advice I give people is always be enrolled, and if you're not enrolled, you at least on Google University. Because how old is Airbnb now? Like since it blew up?
Airbnb has been around since 2008.
Okay.
I don't think it started blowing up till like around 2016, 2017 is where it started going like really.
So if you wasn't open-minded, you never. Right. I'm sure there's things and systems you had to learn to a point where how many properties is your company overseeing now?
So we actually just lost a couple. So I gotta update.
It's up and down, right? It's a wave. It's a market.
It is a market, just like any other business. And that's something I've learned over the years, that it really works like anything, up and down. Yeah.
Anything. Uptrend, downtrend.
Frequencies, right?
Anything, right?
It's like a frequency or a stock trend, whatever you want to call it.
You see anything.
That's how the world works. Just anyway, not only with business, but even in your life. But so we were just until recently we had 14 units.
So 14 was your peak
that we were managing.
Okay, and
as far as management, management. No, peak was actually a couple weeks ago, a couple of months ago. We were managing 19 at one point.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, but that was like through a deal because a local manager asked us to step in for a few months and stuff. So it was a temporary thing. So
still major uptrend in the business.
Right. Exactly. So. And then, so we were at 19 at one point, and then now we're gonna have 8 units under management, and 5 of them are live right now.
Okay.
3 of them we're going through permits and things like that. So, and it's just just keep moving forward.
Business
we're still growing. We're still
the key. Growth.
Exactly, growth and all that stuff. We're still marketing to get new deals and all that constantly. So,
okay.
Not worried about that.
So that's amazing, bro. 19 at peak, 8 to 10 on average. What inspired you to get into the Airbnb business?
Yeah, so what inspired me to get in, all right? It's actually a deeper story. So 2017, I lost my parents. Car accident. They were on vacation. Both of them were in the car, and ended up the driver, which was their neighbor, they ended up having a heart attack while they were driving. Crazy story. And heart attack while he was driving, and they lost control and they hit a tree. And this was 2017 in November. And sorry, I get choked up every time I talk about it, but they ended up passing away, and shook my world. And they actually left us some property. They left us about, it was 2 houses and an apartment. And it was always, real estate was something that was always like, later on in life, when I make my money or whatnot, then I'll put it into real estate and all that.
Yeah.
And so it was always something I wanted to do, but I didn't think it was going to be so soon, right? And in that way that it happened. And so I was kind of thrust into it, right? And I had to change my whole perspective, right? My life changed completely in 2017. And instead of putting this thing off, right, this real estate thing off, we got to start now. This is, I was in a position that we were going through probate. Probate is when somebody passes away and they didn't have a will or anything like that, which is a big, major key.
So you mean probate court?
Probate court. It was probate court.
Transferring assets.
It took 2 years to transfer these assets to our names, because they didn't have a will. So major key
for my financial literacy students, for my entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
If you older than the age of what? I say 25. You need a will.
Yeah. I mean, you start thinking about it from 18, man. Once you start,
as soon as you're an adult.
Yeah, as soon as you're an adult, just start thinking of that way. Especially if you guys are looking to acquire assets early in your life, then as soon as you start acquiring those assets, you need to start thinking about it. So we're like, all right, now we got to learn, right? And me and my brother were kind of in the same mindset. I'm the middle child of 3. I have an older brother and younger sister, and me and my brother were really in that same mindset of like, well, let's learn this real estate thing, man. We can do this thing, right? So,
seize the opportunity. That's the other gem I gotta make sure it's in laws. You say, yo, the opportunity presented itself, I took it.
Right.
I thought real estate was later. No, it was now.
It's now. Right. It's now. Right. I could have pushed it along too. We could have said, hey, like let's just keep the houses and we'll figure it out later. But no, it was like even through my pain, my mourning, and all that stuff, was like, yo, let's really take care of this now. We had to. We just had to, right? We couldn't. We weren't in a position to hold on to 3 properties, paying taxes and mortgage and all that stuff. So, anyways, we ended up going into some courses. We took some real estate courses, and we started the traditional route. Right in 2018, we started the traditional route. I don't know if you guys are into, or your audience is into real estate or whatnot, but
absolutely. Okay,
so
investments.
Right, so investments. So a lot of the real estate gurus nowadays are pushing wholesaling. So it's a way of putting a property on the contract and then basically assigning that contract. So you could sell that contract, right? So you just have to focus on finding a good deal, right? And make sure that it has good spread for somebody who wants to either flip it or rent it or whatever they want to do. So you put it on the contract, you find that deal, and then you call your buddies up or your investors and you say, hey, I got this property, you want to buy it, right? Give me 10K. You can sell it for 10K. You can give it minimum is like 5K that you would sell it for. So we ended up going that route because that's what they taught us, and the traditional gurus and all that stuff. And we found out pretty fast it's just, I don't know, in my opinion, it's just a really, really bad business model because it's lump sum money that comes in, right? So it's far in between.
Contracts, right?
Right.
You pay here and there. It's not consistent.
It's not consistent, and you need to have a lot of marketing dollars to even compete, especially like in the market we're in, South Florida. It's very, very, very competitive.
That's good to know.
Right.
Another gem, wholesaling. The man just broke it down.
Yeah. So we found out that, hey, like, the cash flow wasn't there. So I started looking for things of, I need to have something that is cash flowing me to
produce cash.
To produce cash, not only to, invest some more, but also to just take care of my family, right? To take care of myself, to be able to sustain myself, to pay my bills, to not have to go to a 9 to 5 and be in my business, which it's true, man. Cash flow is king.
Cash is king.
Cash flow is king. Like once you have the cash flow coming in, you open so many doors,
different opportunities, right? And it's kind of like magic. That kind of brings me back. You're the gentleman who introduced me to Dave Ramsey.
Yes, I did. I remember. I think I gave you the book, right?
I'm not sure if it was
Total
the
Money
book.
Makeover.
I think it was the link.
The link, okay.
You gave me the link.
Okay.
But it just put me on such a journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just enhanced. Like I didn't really consider myself a philanthropist. Mm-hmm. And then now I've found a lane and an avenue to, for people to learn finance, because I break it down so easy, make it digestible and applicable. And you're the person who put me on. So now that you've, went on a further bigger projects and pastures, it's just amazing to see. So when it comes to cash flow, let's talk about the money for a little bit.
Right.
What is it about the Airbnb business, right? Because a lot of people get excited when they hear they think they're gonna make a lot of money, but it's overhead, right? So what is it that made you decide to go that route, right? Mm-hmm. Over the wholesaling and buying houses and flipping them, right? Personally,
right. So that brings me to the Airbnb story, and I'll give you kind of the short version, of the time frame here, but. I started looking for businesses that was going to create cash flow for me, and specifically in real estate, because now I had taken a course, I had met people, I had networked, had made connections. I saw how the business and the potential it was. I saw that I can create net worth, right? It was just big, right? Because when you own property, you're creating net worth instantly, right? When you buy something. So I fell in love with real estate. I was like, man, this is something that I really, really want to do. But now I want to focus first on cash flow. So we went to the traditional route. We actually ended up buying a property in Oklahoma, which we still have. And it's a rental. It's a long-term rental. It's managed by a company. I don't even know what's going on in that place, right? But the check comes in every month. We had to figure out a way to kind of build our cash flow, right? To then take that cash flow and put it into more cash flowing assets.
So you didn't go out and spend it.
Right.
You didn't buy diamond rings and cars and jeans.
No.
And clothing.
Heck no.
You invested.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We tend, we stay away from that. We stay away from that type of spending. That type of spending is just not, it's not beneficial.
You took your profit and did things to produce more cash.
Exactly.
Instead of consuming it.
100%.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the game. That's the gem right there.
Exactly. So, and that's really the whole idea behind the Airbnb business as a whole, because now Airbnb is, and specifically an Airbnb management business. And also, if you talk about arbitrage, we'll get into it in a bit, is specifically a cash flow business. So it's just straight cash flow. So that's what we're building now. Me and my wife, we just got married 3 years ago.
Congratulations.
Well, I still say just got married because it still feels like, thank you.
Still feels new.
Right. Still feels new. and because we got so many more years to go. But we've set ourselves up that way to say, okay, well, let's build the cash flow first. Let's quit our jobs, which my wife was able to quit her job last year, at the end of last year, and now we're just continuing to build that cash flow to a point that where our disposable income, right, the money that is after our expenses and all that stuff is paid off, or rent and all that, that disposable income, we're gonna save some of it and keep saving, a good nest egg to then put it into cash flowing assets. Eventually, it's gonna become a thing where it's gonna become so big, my portfolio of cash flowing assets is gonna become so big that I can just retire. I don't have
absolute financial freedom.
Absolute.
Your passive income takes care of your overhead.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Bro. Amazing. Big gem.
That's the that's the idea. That's the idea. That's the plan. That's the 5 to 10 year plan. So as far as Airbnb, all right, and let's talk specifically about Airbnb. I found Airbnb after failing a few times with the traditional real estate stuff, right? The wholesaling, I did some flips, I did a couple of that stuff that just didn't work. I ended up finding a course, right? Again, life student. Found a course that taught me what's called Airbnb arbitrage, right? So arbitrage is basically when you approach a property owner,
okay,
right? Let's say like the one that we're sitting in right now, and you talk directly with the property owner. He's looking for a tenant, right? You can find him on the MLS, you can find him on Zillow, right? And you talk to that property owner, you say, hey, Mr. Property Owner, can I be your tenant, right? I'm going to rent your place, okay? I'll give you your monthly if you allowed me to do Airbnb.
Wow.
Okay? This is a very simple twist to a regular long-term lease, right? Like traditionally you're paying, first, last deposit for a 12-year lease, but with arbitrage, you're just adding an addendum, right? That says, hey, you're going to allow me to rent it and rent it out as an Airbnb. So I'm not going to be living in there. You just make it clear.
Yes.
I would not recommend trying to do this behind anybody's back,
right?
Because then that's when you
a lot of liability there, right?
You get you get in some real trouble there. But as long as you're upfront with that owner, he understands what you're doing, you guys are on the same page, then it's good to go. So we started doing that, right? And it really benefits that owner because we are professionally cleaning these Airbnbs constantly, right? We're keeping up the maintenance constantly. We have handyman and all that stuff. So we're gonna take care of the property better than a long-term tenant. Obviously, there's good
almost like an owner.
Stuff. Exactly, because
you're maintaining it.
Exactly. So what happens in that instance? Okay, I'll keep going in my story in a bit, but in that instance, we're talking about assets, right? When you do that lease with that person, it's basically a paper asset. What's called a paper asset, right?
Facts.
So now you don't own the property, but you have a lease, right? You have a lease that is your paper asset. That asset is cash flowing for you. So basically what I was doing is investing in paper assets.
So interesting, right? Mm-hmm. Typically, people might put something like that in their liabilities column, right? Because it doesn't produce them money if you're just a renter or you're just a tenant.
100%.
When you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business, you put that in the other column because it's producing money.
Exactly.
Amazing, man. I love the way this conversation is going. You're getting a lot of game right now.
Exactly. So yeah, I was investing in paper assets, right? Started that in 2018. I quickly went. I was working. I remember I was working at a law firm at the time. I don't know if you know. I have a paralegal degree.
I remember now.
Right. So I was working with a law firm, and I had just gotten married, so we needed. I didn't have a stable business at the time, so I needed a job. Right, I need to pay my rent, right? I need to put a roof over my wife's head, right? So I was working at a paralegal, but I am the worst employee that you can ever have. right? Because I am an entrepreneur at heart. So I was literally sitting at that desk 8 hours a day, and I was sending mailers, sending direct mail, right? I don't like to say it in public, but I don't know. Sorry if my old employers see this, but I was actually using the printer to print it and send out mail.
The hustle don't stop.
All right, the hustle. I was hustling, and yeah. So I sent out a mailer, and it basically said that like, hey, I can rent your property, all this stuff, all the benefits, blah blah blah. Got I think I sent like 500 to 1,000 mailers out. I don't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere around there, and I ended up getting 3 leases right off the bat. I was working a full-time job, and I had these 3 properties I had to set up. I had to buy furniture, I had to do all this, and I was like, I talked to my wife. I was like, I don't think I can do this with a full-time job. So I ended up quitting my job and gave my 2 weeks notice. The day, my last day, I went to my 3 properties and I started building furniture, right? Because I had just gotten the keys like 2 or 3 days before. I started building furniture, put everything together in the first 3 properties, and we were in business, right? But then I knew 3 properties wasn't enough for me to sustain myself or my wife, so I was like, all right, I need to start building this fast. We went quickly in that year. And this is a testament to how big the Airbnb business is and how fast it's growing right now, right? Like right now is the time to get in. There's a land grab right now, and even it started in 2018. This is 2018. I went from 3. I had 3. I quickly went to 5. This was like in a 3-month period. The following 8 months after that, right, to finish out the year or whatnot, we ended up finishing up with 15.
Wow.
And it was all arbitrage. It was all rental, right?
You said in 1 year or 2 years?
In 1 year.
In 1 year.
At the time, I had met this local property manager that he was teaching me the rope, which is another big key. Find a mentor. Mentorship is huge.
Somebody who has already walked the path.
Exactly.
May have even paved it.
Exactly.
Smarter, not harder.
Exactly. So he cut that learning curve for me. Even though I had taken a course, he cut that learning curve for me.
Very hands-on.
A lot. Yeah, he was very gracious enough to show me the ropes. And he ended up becoming my partner. And he asked me, he had a deal for a 10-unit apartment building. And he's like, I want to arbitrage this thing. And I was like, okay, why are you telling me? He's like, Kev, I want you to be my partner. I was like, all right, cool. So we ended up going to that deal, 10-unit apartment building. This was when was COVID? COVID was 2019?
It started the end of 2019. So that was the holidays.
Was it March?
We locked down in March 2020.
March 2020. Okay, so this was end of 2019, right? End of 2019, we get this this apartment building, and we start furnishing it and all that. And by like January of 2020, we were pretty much fully built. We had just like 1 unit that we need to furnish. Dude, that apartment building was cash flowing like crazy. Right?
Wow. Whole building.
It was
10 units.
Right. It was making a lot of money, more money than I've seen a month in my life. So I was like, whoa, like we're onto something here. Well, a lot of work to be done because we were furnishing this stuff ourselves and all that, and managing it ourselves first time with a building. And then January was awesome. February was awesome. March 2020 hit. COVID.
A lot of things changed in this world that March.
So quick. So let me tell you the situation that I was in. Right, I had 15 units, all arbitrage, all rent. I had rent. I had a lot of overhead, like you said. I had all rent. I had about $20,000 to $25,000 in rent payments that I had to make.
Wow. Every 30 days.
Every 30 days.
Wow. Big business.
This is all good when that money's coming in.
Right.
Right.
Gucci.
In hindsight, I should have had that money in the bank too, right? Because I should have had an emergency fund. I never did. I didn't have that because the business was going so good, it's growing so fast. I decided to take that risk, and I was calculating to make that money back in 3 to 6 months. That's how fast that money was coming in. Couldn't predict COVID, right? COVID hit. Unpredictable. COVID hit, and now I'm like, dang, I just over leveraged myself, right? I over leveraged myself. I didn't have the money to pay all those rents. So plus there was no money coming in for about 3 months during COVID. Nobody was traveling. So we ended up cutting out those leases, and thankfully I came out unscathed. Like, it was pretty good. That partnership ended up going bad too. And when things go bad, a lot of
it's a domino effect.
Personalities change. So a lot of learning experiences, and ended up coming out okay, right? I lost money. Lost a lot of money, but I came out okay. I'm still alive, right? I'm still above this ground.
Bounce back, man. You learn some things.
Exactly.
Don't over leverage, right?
Right.
And then you continue to build back up.
Exactly.
Now you where you at now.
And then I ended up getting out of the Airbnb. Well, one person that we had met during that whole time span, he loved how I worked, and he called me up and he said, "Hey, instead of arbitraging, right? Instead of renting my property, why don't you manage it?" Right? And this was completely new to me. I was like, "Look, manage, like, okay." Like, I knew the property manager, he had done it and all stuff, but I was like, I don't even know. It's a learning curve for me, whatever. It's like, okay, whatever. Let's I know how to run an Airbnb at this point now, so I'm like, okay, I'll manage it for you. But I didn't think of anything of it because I knew COVID was going to be around for a while. Well, I could kind of foresee that. And I said, I'm not going to even touch Airbnb for that, but I'll just do it for this guy as a favor. Ended up going into mobile home flips for like a year, but in the meantime, in the background, like this little Airbnb kept making money, kept making cash flow, and then it started to really pick up, right? Towards the like July of 2020 or whatnot, and then that's when. Well, we spent a year with that unit, and then last year in 2021. Me and my wife were like, man, this unit's really doing good. Let's get some more. So we ended up going in around like June. We decided that, or April. No, actually a little bit earlier, April or May. And then we ended the year with nine management contracts. So again, a testament to how fast the Airbnb thing is growing.
Yeah.
And now, then we were just, like I said, 14. We had 19 at one point. We go down. So it fluctuates, just with any business. Plus, we try to pick and choose who we actually work with, because there's some people that we just don't connect at that level. And I believe in synergy a lot in my business. So sometimes you got to cut people out.
So this past 10 years been a roller coaster for you. I mean, every entrepreneur, you got to be able to anticipate that. This is not an easy ride. You didn't choose an easy journey.
Right.
You said something that really stuck out to me when we was preparing for this interview, right? Mm-hmm. It's not about building a business. It's about building a lifestyle. Yeah. So what does that really mean to you?
Yeah, man. I learned a lot. I mean, you guys just heard my story about 10 years, 10 years in the making, basically, right? 10-year overnight success or whatnot. but multiple failures in business, multiple jobs, and over those 10 years, I learned something really, really big, which was don't chase the money. Don't chase the money. All right. I every time I would chase the money, I would end up failing. Right. It was either something that where I made money, but I just wasn't happy.
Oh, okay.
Right? Or I was too involved in money, and it just wasn't aligned with what I'm doing or anything like that. So what that means to me is basically, don't chase the money, number one.
Don't chase the money.
Don't chase the money. you have, if I'm being honest here, man, like I said, 2017, my whole life changed. I lost my parents, and it gave me a bigger thirst for life, right? A bigger purpose for life. Because I realized when you come to terms with death, you realize how valuable your life is, right? And how short your life is, and how it can change from one day to the next. I don't know if I'm gonna be here tomorrow. So why would I put myself in a position to even if I'm making millions and millions of dollars, why would I put in my position that I'm not happy? So for me, that means I chase happiness. I chase a lifestyle that is going to feed number one, my purpose, and number two, the things that I want to do with my life, and it's going to support.
It's aligned with you.
Exactly. And what's important to me is not money. What's important to me is family. What's important to me is my future kids. What's important to me is friendship, is relationships. It's moments like these, right, where I can sit with a good friend of mine, that we've connected mentally, spiritually. We respect each other, right? So those are things that I'm looking to attract. It's not money.
It's not about the money.
None
it's
of
about
it.
The lifestyle.
Exactly. It's about the lifestyle. So Airbnb checked all those boxes for me, and I said, "Yeah, let's go with it, man. Let's build this thing." So, and ever since I've focused on that, Gerald, things come way more easier. I've had amazing times, right? I've had amazing moments. I've met incredible people, and because that's what I'm attracting now. Now I'm just not looking for, let's make those
right.
Benjis, right?
Right.
It's like, wait, no, let's meet some people. Let's build a lifestyle, a cash flow business that is going to be able to have my wife quit her job, right? That I can work from home, that I can spend time with my future kids, that I can be their baseball coach or their soccer coach or football coach, whatever it is that they're going to get into, that I can be there for them. And that's what I'm setting up for myself in my life, because like I said, it's short, man. You can be gone from one day to the next. And one thing that I realized when my parents passed away as well is I saw I was there obviously at their funeral, and I'd never seen so many people in my life show up for a funeral. And it was a testament. It was a testament to how they lived their life. Every single person that I did not even I didn't even know them, right? So many people came up to me that day and saying how my parents changed their life in one way or another, or how they helped them come to this country or whatnot. And that's what I'm working for myself now.
And I know they proud, bro. So you've been a teacher. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The heart of a teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, bro, NovaSound Live took off once you helped me set up my first deal. You know what I'm saying? I went from one location and one property to almost 5 now. You know what I'm saying? My own business. So
nice.
You're moving into coaching, bro. You're ready to inspire people.
Yeah.
You introduced me to Dave Ramsey, Grant Cardone, and another level of spirituality. Yeah. Not only personally, but spirituality in business, bro. So what's your coaching business? What's the business model? What are you getting into with that?
Appreciate that question. So I'm starting a coaching business. I'm starting a mentorship program. So basically I'm teaching people, right? I'm teaching people. It's an educational business. It's really kind of a personal venture for me right now at this point, because I'm still primarily focused on building this management business. And eventually we're focused on building the management business to a point that we can buy assets, and then when we own those assets and we can, you know, live off of that passive income, we can sell that property management business. So that's the goal. But eventually, what I want to do is teach people what I'm doing, right? So, and what my expertise is. So, and I always started that as well from when I started entrepreneurship. It's like, hey man, you know, I know I'm gonna make it, right? I'm gonna, whether it's, you know, AV or paralegal or whatever it is that I got into, it's like, I know I'm gonna make it. And when I do, then, you know, my legacy, like we're talking about, like, you know, how my parents left their legacy, I want to leave my legacy as well, right? So I want to touch people's lives in a way that changes their lives, right? That changes their lives. That if I can teach somebody to open up or start an Airbnb management from scratch, I'd be changing that person's life, right? They'd be creating their own cash flow, their own financial freedom. To you know, I think that is way more valuable than selling a management business or having 100 units, 1,000 units, and all that stuff. That's changing one person's life is way more valuable than that. So
impact.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, whether it's Airbnb or they just want to, you know, make that decision you made and say, I want to work for myself?
Right. I think it always starts, guys. It always starts, and I think this gets repetitive throughout every industry. When you look at like gurus and coaches and all that stuff, like it's because it's true, right? It always starts from within. Always starts from within. It starts mental, physical, and even at the spiritual level, right? In all aspects of your life, it always starts. It's an inside job, man. It's an inside game. If you are not 100% there, and you don't have, you know, if you're not constantly working on your confidence, on your it's because it's not all about knowledge, right? When people you know, hear that, everybody's like, oh yeah, well, I'm just gonna read a book, I'm just gonna do this and do this. It's like, nah, man, you have to work on every aspect of your life. And that's why I fell in love with entrepreneurship, because it forces you to become a better person. Because if you don't become that better person, then you don't reach that next level.
That's a fact.
All right, so, you know, I would say start with yourself first. Start with improving yourself in every aspect of your life. It's not easy. There's no pill. There's no shortcut. There's no book that you can read that's gonna make this happen for you. So, you know, start working on it now and start working on it constantly every single day. And then, you know, once you're in that habit of becoming that lifetime student, and that improving your personal development and all that, then you know, pick an end goal for yourself. Don't think about it too hard. Just because it's not about, you know, what you think. Like, this is so much more in a deeper level, guys. This is more like in a subconscious level of because it's really about purpose, right? It's about purpose of what are you here in this life to do.
Purpose-driven mission. 100%.
Right. So it's not about like, does this business do better than this, or this business does better than that? No, like we talked about, it's about lifestyle and being aligned with your purpose, right? Finding out that purpose. Entrepreneurship can do that for you. And once you pick a goal, to start taking action. Like I said, there's no shortcut to this. There's no book. There's no magic pill. There's no super Saiyan guru that's gonna come around and save you. It's about just keep moving forward in the direction that you want to go to. Because when I see and when I see in my students as well, is that a lot of people, they'll focus on, like we just said, like I'm just gonna read a book, I'm gonna do personal development, all this stuff. But what people don't realize, right, that's good. That's good. It's gonna become a better person. Don't do that. I mean, don't not do that. Right.
Do that.
But
apply it.
But apply it into where you're going. Right. Because you can sit there and read books all day and listen to YouTube all day and listen to podcasts like this all day. But dude, if you're not, if for me, like if I'm not looking for my next Airbnb, right, or if I'm not booking my next Airbnb guest, then I'm not getting to my goals, right? So I'm constantly taking actions and being as organized and as detailed as possible for my to reach my goal, right? To be as clear as possible in my mind and tell my body and my soul and my subconscious, say, I'm going this way. Okay, let's go this way, and I'm gonna start taking a step this way, and that's all I do every single day. I take one step, and then I take another step, and then I just keep chugging along, and it just becomes more and more clear, and things just start happening, dude. Things just start happening as you keep moving forward. It's just the universe conspires to make it for you, to make a reality for you. So that's the advice.
Take action from Kevin Bryant himself. Kevin, let the people know where to get in contact with you, bro. Follow you on Instagram, book a session, etc.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate being here on Sound Spotlight. So appreciate it, and you guys can find me if you guys want to learn about Airbnb, learn about Airbnb management specifically. There's three things to Airbnb. 3 ways you can get an Airbnb, guys, starting now. There's buying, obviously. You can buy a property and turn it into Airbnb. You can rent it as an arbitrage, right? And turn it in that way. But I always like to say management is where it's at, because less risk, right? Less risk in the rental. You can manage an asset, right, and have control of a real estate asset with just a piece of paper by managing it. So you can start making that cash flow with Airbnb management. And I'm teaching people how to do this. You can find me very active on Instagram at Kevin Bryant Online, and Bryant is like Kobe Bryant, Bryant, Kevin Bryant Online. That's my Instagram. You can also follow my podcast or subscribe to the podcast. It's The B&B Professional, and that's on all major podcast platforms. And I also just put out an ebook that you can find that at bnbsidehustle.com. BNB like Airbnb, bnbsidehustle.com.
Sound Spotlight Season 3, man. There's a lot of gems in this one, so make sure you run it back and understand this information is applicable to any avenue of entrepreneurship. Kev, appreciate you inviting me to Peacock. Sound Spotlight, stay tuned. Season 4 coming.